first occurrence of identity theft started with Eve, and this would be the famous Eve of Adam and Eve, the first man and woman to ever live on the earth. We know that God created them, and they were here first before any of us ever got here. And that's when identity theft entered in the world. I really believe that. There's a very interesting conversation that Eve had with Satan in Genesis 3 and verse 5. I'm just going to paraphrase. Basically what happened is he was talking to her and trying to convince her that she should go ahead and eat from this tree. Now, if you will remember, God told Adam when he created him, he could eat. He created him, put him in the garden of Eden, told him he could eat from, all the trees that he put there except one particular tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He said, don't eat from this tree, don't eat the fruit. It was a command that he'd given to Adam. Adam told Eve about it. We know because in Genesis 3 and 5, the enemy's trying to tempt her and get her to eat from this fruit of the forbidden tree. And she says, you know what? God says we're not allowed to eat from it. I can't take it. He says, no, don't believe God. No, you can eat from it, And Eve says, no, we can't. God says, when we eat from it, we're going to die. He says, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. God doesn't want you to eat from this tree because he knows when you do, your eyes are going to be open, you're going to have knowledge of good and evil, and you're going to be like him. And he doesn't want you to be like him. So don't eat the fruit. So he's just lying to you. He's holding back from you. And let's just put a full stop right there. This is really how identity theft entered into the world. And it started with Eve. If you know this particular story, you know that Eve did eat the fruit. Death did occur, a spiritual death, not a physical death, but a spiritual death. The communion that she and Adam had with God, that was separated because sin entered the world. They lost so much, and we all lost so much as a result of that sin entering the world. But for Adam and Eve, they lost their identity, Eve particularly. And the way that the enemy did it was he told her that she was missing something. He basically said, look, Eve, I just, just between you and me, I just want you to know God's holding you out of you, okay? He is. There's this tree, there's this knowledge. He doesn't want you to have it. Eve, you're missing something. You're lacking something. Something's not quite right with you. And that's why you need to eat this fruit, because when you eat this fruit, you're gonna have everything you need. You're gonna be like God, you're gonna be perfect. How many times are we bombarded with those very messages in our world today? You gotta wear this type of clothing because then you're gonna have status because you're wearing this person's name on your body. You gotta have this particular kind of hairstyle, or you gotta wear this kind of makeup, or you gotta drive this kind of car, or live in this particular house, or have this kind of education, or have this kind of job. Then you're gonna be somebody. You gotta be in this kind of relationship. You gotta eat this kind of food. You gotta wear this kind of shoes. I mean, we are getting these messages day in and day out. And it's not just from the media. It's not just from the newspapers. You know what? Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones that are giving us these messages, If you could just be a better student, then, I could love you more. Or if you could just get a better job, the career that you're in, even though you might love it, it's just there's not enough status in what you're doing, If you could just get a better job and have a better career, then you'd really be somebody. You know what? The enemy has been tricking and lying to people right from the beginning of time. And so don't be surprised if you are experiencing or have experienced, just like Eve did, those whispers from the enemy telling her, you know what, you're missing something, you're not quite good enough, you just need a little bit more, and then you'll be complete. That is the essence of identity theft. Who you are is not enough. That's the message that is conveyed. And every time, like Eve, we believe that lie, we eat that fruit, we give up our true God-given identity, and we exchange it for a lie from the enemy. And for many people, it manifests in very different ways. Some of us are chasing careers that we have no business in because we have no passion, we have no desire, we have no talent for those things. But somebody somewhere has told us, or we have told ourselves, I have to do this. And if I don't do this, I'm not going to be somebody. I'm not going to be important. Some of us are in relationships that are wrong for us. We know we don't have any business associating with certain people and certain relationships, but we're in them because we're looking for approval or for status that we feel we're not going to get if we don't engage in those relationships. Some of us are involved in activities, things that we're doing that we know are wrong, that we know are not really things that we should be doing, but we're not able to let go because we feel like we have to do these things in order to be accepted. I'm here to tell you today that God has called you and created you and made you. You are awesome. You are wonderfully made. You are made in the image of God and in His likeness. And in our next series, the last part of this 3-part series on identity theft, I'm going to get into all of that. Who you are in Christ, who God says you are, what He's called you to do, what He's made you to be, and how you can get free once and for all of identity theft. Get your identity back. You need it because you want to fulfill the things that God has called you to. Meet me back here for part 3.